Welcome to the show, whether you're watching us across Australian Community TV as New Game Plus or across Australian Community Radio as Z Games. We're going to be talking video games for the next little bit. My name's Jack. I'm in studio with Meg. Hello, matey.
Hey. It's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
Welcome back to Melbourne.
Welcome back to Z Games.
Hey, true that.
And Hope. Hello, matey. How you going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm feeling fresh.
Hope and I have just met as well. It's a beautiful bond we've already established. So I'm pretty motivated.
We've known each other for years.
And I've already knocked back an espresso, so everyone is like sort of, look, there's a lot of energy happening.
Great vibes.
That's good vibes on New Game Plus. So coming up on the show, we're going to be chatting what we've been playing, so we're going to be doing that real soon. Hope you've been playing Control.
Yes. So Control is a game that when I first saw the trailers and everything like that for it, I was completely disinterested because it looked really generic and boring. And then
you played it.
When I played it, it's probably one of my favorite games. It's definitely my game of the year so far.
I'm into it. I'm so pumped already for you. I'm feeling the energy.
I've got a lot of heart feels.
Cool.
Oh, damn.
I'm into heart feels, big time.
Well, I would like to say there's heart feels around Apple Arcade, but actually, no, I am really into Apple Arcade. That's what's going to be coming up later on in the show as well. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different games. There's a lot of them. A lot of kind of like follow-ups to other games that I've played on iOS because I'm a filthy casual gamer that only plays games on my phone.
I see.
And yeah, I'm kind of hot to talk about that. I guess you guys are curious a little bit about it as well.
I definitely am. I
It's a
think
different-
this whole
You don't care,
mobile gaming industry is really booming and taking a totally new evolution from it.
It's a very different approach, for sure.
Yeah, especially with Google Play Pass as well. Like that's a totally different kettle of fish to compare.
That's going to be a completely different discussion.
Yeah, that's correct.
For now, Meg, you've been playing some Gears 5.
I'm so proud of this. I really enjoyed the campaign for Gears 5, and since I reviewed it on the show last week or the week before, who knows anymore, on New Game Plus, I've actually been playing multiplayer even more, so it's the Horde mode actually.
Yep.
Gears of War 5 is one of the most beautiful Gears games ever made, and the narrative itself is so strong, and I felt that even without really being familiar with the previous games, I could jump in and feel like I'd known these characters forever. The voice actors were perfectly picked. They had great on-screen chemistry. The motion capture is second to none, probably some of the best I've ever seen. And I guess the fact that they call it open world is a massive stretch. It's really linear, and even though they say there are elements and places in the acts where you can explore, they're barren wastelands with nothing to engage with.
You can play Borderlands 1 if you wanted to, right?
That's exactly what I said in my review. I actually felt like
it's almost like you've seen it.
No, I haven't actually.
Thanks for supporting my work.
Wow, there you go. Watch New Game Plus, yeah.
I mean, I think my mum really watches my reviews, so it's really exciting. Love you, Mum. But I think the fact that the lack of collectibles really, I guess, detracted for the exploration factor for me. I really wanted more because those environments were next level beautiful.
You wanted incentive to explore.
Yeah, because I just couldn't look away. The maps were like so unique. Every nook and cranny had something there, but I wanted to discover as I got around.
One game you did discover a lot in was Untitled Goose Game, though, mate.
Oh my gosh. I hate being bad at games, and Untitled Goose Game made me feel real silly sometimes. Like I couldn't do the puzzles.
Yeah. Some of them are really hard.
Some of them, thank you, they are. But there was a...
Wow. A pro gamer Hope.
No, they are. And like sometimes it's just working out what the solution is as well.
Exactly. But when you reach that sweet, sweet moment of like, I get it now, it's so satisfying.
It's also just really, really fun to watch. Like, the goose being incredibly aggressive.
It is. And these villagers are just minding their own sweet business. They're just living their life.
So much character as well. Like just his motions. And sometimes the villagers look like they're going to hit you.
Yes.
And I'm like, you should do it. Like,
I deserve this. I deserve this.
Yeah. Like, come on. But they never do because they're nice people.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean nice?
I think this Untitled Goose Game is one of the most perfect games for Twitch. Watching your favorite streamer get it and like interacting with them on chat and making them do silly things because the game is quite organic. Like you can really sandbox it and have different outcomes depending on the direction you take to solve the puzzles.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hope, you've been playing Dead Cells.
Yeah, so I've played Dead Cells back when it first came out.
Right.
And I jumped into it again recently because Aaron, my partner, was playing it and he beat the end boss. And I was like, what?
In a roguelike.
Yeah, and well, it's just, he can't do that. I haven't done that. And I was like, so I had to play it again because I was like, how the hell? And then it turns out there's a patch and it's been made a lot easier. So I beat the end boss.
Oh, right, okay.
But that's really cool because it's got a lot of sort of after that content. Okay. So you can unlock new bosses and there are new doors to go through and new pathways and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I've been able to revisit this game that was probably my game of the year last year.
And now it's been rebalanced.
And now it's fresh.
So
I actually
into it
really
again.
respect that. It's like they're putting, is it like live service? Do they push out updates regularly or is it just end game that they've really made finessed after it's launched?
The end game has always been really good.
Amazing.
It's just that I was never good enough to access it.
Right.
Because the difficulty spike throughout the game. Most of the levels are fairly the same, like you can learn the bosses and all that kind of stuff, but because it's a roguelike, by the time you get to the end boss, if you haven't got the loadout you want and maybe you're a bit low on health and all that kind of stuff, you may not have a good shot of winning, but also I can go through the whole game without taking that much damage, and I would die within about 20 seconds of getting the end boss usually.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just this massive spike, whereas now that he's been made, possible
It's been balanced properly.
for someone like me, and it doesn't take the challenge away either because there's so many more things to do afterwards that are hard that I can't do yet because I'm not that good. But it means that there's not this locked off content so much anymore, and it's fabulous.
I mean, if you're wanting content to just keep going as well, I feel like Overwatch is a very good fit for that too.
Well, yeah, so Overwatch is the other game I spend far too much time playing.
Or just the right amount? How you look at it?
Look, it's hard to lose track of. It's easy to lose track of time in Overwatch, though.
Right.
It really is, and it's just especially because there are so many characters now, and if you do like to play more than one, it gives you so many options and variety to the game.
I've lost track of how many characters there
Yeah.
are.
What do you play as? Who do you play as?
I used to play as healers, so when I
Right.
first started playing, it's such a girl thing.
It is
But-
though. I love being a healer.
I play
We're just
Mercy a lot.
supportive. We're just supportive.
I play that Battle Mercy.
No, so the reason I
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
the reason I started playing healers is because it was my first proper PC game back when it first came out. I was
okay.
used to console, and so I was trying to learn on a mouse and keyboard, and I didn't have the accuracy to play something that needed to deal damage.
Are you playing on a controller?
I did start on a controller,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
because that was fun.
No, that's fine.
It was okay for Lucio. Anyway,
Yeah, true.
so I started playing healers, and then more recently, now that I've got pretty good aim on a mouse and stuff, I've gone to damage dealers. So I really like playing
No,
Tracer.
research. It's great to evolve and dabble and experiment.
And when I have to play a healer now, I'm like, ugh.
See,
That's true.
I still kind of enjoy it, but I don't get back to Overwatch as much as I would like to. I'll just very quickly put in what I've been playing lately, and it's some gacha hell. It's a mobile game ball.
Tell me about that.
So it's called Regalia Lost. I'll only talk about it for a little bit because I'm keen to hear more about Control. But basically, it is action JRPG stuff. So
Okay.
it's top down. You're running around as these cute as hell anime characters,
Ooh.
and you would think the battle is the focus, but it's not as much the focus because it's a goddamn gacha game.
Right.
And you're just trying to max level the hell out of your characters. But it's also like a really easy loop to get lost in. The one thing I will say that I'm really, really into is the raid battles because you get to play multiplayer with players as well. So it's kind of cool in that it's a solo and also a multiplayer thing.
Is it
So
free to play?
It is free to play.
And there's
It's on-
microtransactions?
Yeah.
That straight up just looks like Chibi Cloud.
Yeah, look, it is good fun. You're hanging out with Jack, Meg, and Hope. We'll be back in a sec talking Control. Welcome back to the show. My name's Jack. I'm in studio with Meg and Hope. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hope.
Yes.
You've been playing Control lately.
Oh, yes.
You're excited to talk about Control?
So excited.
I need to hear more. I'm
I'm
already hyped for
so
it.
glad to hear you say that because
Yeah.
everyone else is like, please stop.
Stop talking.
Just stop. So Control is by Remedy. It is essentially it's a third-person shooter.
Cool.
So
They've got a lot
you,
of practice doing those.
yeah, I
It
mean,
was Alan Wake and what was the last one they did?
Quantum
Quantum Break?
Break.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does that have some practice?
but this is by far the best. Like it
Ah,
is leagues ahead,
Wow.
in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
So it starts out and you essentially find what they call the service weapon, which is your gun. And it all starts out very ominously. You're in what they call the oldest building. The oldest house?
It's it's an old building.
But it's magical.
Cool.
It's magical. So you go in there and it looks like an old sort of office building. It looks very government, very, very clean, very clerical. And you walk through and things aren't right. And you meet this dodgy janitor called Artie. And he just gives you vague, go for the job interview. And you're like, what? I'm looking for someone. What? And then you go into the manager's room for the job interview. And what you find there is a man who's blown his brains out.
Mad.
Oh, good.
And
start.
the service weapon, so this gun laying on the floor. When you pick it up, it chooses you as the new manager.
Oh, gosh.
And
Oh, right.
the bullet that ran through his brain is still connected to the gun. And through that bullet, it picked up his final memories, and that helps guide you as you play the game.
Yes.
So
Great synopsis.
conceptually,
Thank you so
Control
much.
is incredibly interesting. It's got very like SCP vibes, very alternate universe, very objects of power.
Yeah,
Great.
it seems it.
But what it does is, even though it's kind of a horror sort of setting where things aren't right and it's quite disturbing.
Just uneasy by the seams,
It is very uneasy. It's definitely got that sensation of everything's wrong and you don't really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And what you'll go into new areas and you'll see that the architecture itself has been split, and it's maybe there are like Escher-style stairs up the walls and things like that. And you purify those areas and turn them more into what they should be, but it still doesn't feel right. And something I really enjoy about it is the concept of objects of power.
Right.
So one of the first ones you get gives you your abilities, which is what makes Control so fun. So the gunplay is okay, and you can modify your gun to be different kinds of guns, which is interesting in itself, but where it's actually fun is that you get abilities.
Okay.
So the first one that you get is called Launch, and it's essentially like a telekinesis where you lift things up and throw them at people.
Okay,
Like
cool.
Star Wars.
Yeah, you have the Force.
Okay,
But the way
amazing.
you get the Force is you find this corrupted item, which is a floppy disk, and it's from back when people feared nuclear war intensely. This floppy disk had the launch codes for Russian missiles. So the collective fear of humans of the ability to launch has given this floppy disk the power
Now you
to
can
launch.
Okay, right.
Hey.
So it's all about infusing items with belief and allowing different dimensions through and things like that.
Can I ask what kind of enemies are we fighting in this game?
So what you're fighting is an unpleasant resonance. So it's kind of like this sound that's distorted, and it may not be from our dimension. It's called the hiss. And what that relates to in a gameplay term is it takes over the people that are in the office buildings,
Right,
essentially.
okay.
So most of the enemies are humans that look fairly normal. You get a couple that are really distorted though. So like some of the enemies might fly.
Got like full prototype on you, I guess.
Kind of,
Yeah.
like, and they look alien. Like, there are regular human-looking ones, but there are ones where their guts are out and things like
Nice.
that. And you don't necessarily notice it until you get really
You're
close to them. And
You
what's
see it and you're like, oh, yikes.
yeah, it has that awkwardness to it because you don't expect it. Some of the other enemies are just like a distorted ball or like a glitch. So there isn't much enemy variation. Like once you've seen them all, you've kind of seen them all.
I get it.
Yeah.
There's an area where a totally different problem has taken over the lower part, and it's just mold, but it's like interdimensional mold.
As much as like, obviously the environments seem really, really interesting to try and explore, does the lack of variety in enemies get exhausting at a certain point?
I think that it could. I don't know if I'd call it exhausting because I
Yeah.
still enjoyed playing and I
Okay.
still enjoyed going through the new areas and discovering new things. But it is something where you kind of think, I've definitely done this a million times.
I see.
So yeah, you just kind of get into the rhythm of it and you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything strong behind a female protagonist in this game? Does it have any significance as to why they would have chosen this particular type of character?
I'm not too sure. So she's looking for her brother.
Okay.
And in part of it, when it's brought up that your brother and yourself both have names that are unisex. And it never explores that properly, but it implies that at least someone out there had the idea that maybe you're the same person.
I see.
okay.
Or maybe you're interchangeable.
Okay.
So it doesn't, I don't think it ever confirms or denies it. But
It's just kind of like awkwardly sinister.
it just kind of
Yeah.
has that notion of it provides you with uncertainty constantly. Something that is kind of cool is there are a lot of women in the game. And a
Right.
lot of the heads of department, like there's a good mix of men and women, and they all look like normal people, which is kind of nice. But a lot of them
Relatable.
a lot of it's taken from live footage as well, so they'll have like footage of the actual actors and things like that.
Okay.
That
So there's a mix
excites
of like
me.
live action and like motion capture?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And that's part of why they look like real people, because a lot of them happen to be real
Yeah.
people.
Awesome.
So yeah, it adds an element, and it kind of works into that idea that things aren't quite right, because you go between computer graphics and then real people
I
and things
see.
like that.
How long did it, in general, take you to complete the campaign?
I think it's a relatively short-ish campaign. Like I think you
Great.
can get it done in about 10 hours.
Great.
It does have side missions that you can go off and do, and there has been confirmed DLC which looks like it's going to riff off Alan Wake.
Nice.
But as far as like what you've seen so far, overall thoughts, is it well-rounded? Is it like, it probably would feel, like, from what I've seen, it looks pretty polished.
It's, yeah.
You haven't really mentioned many shortcomings. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like all round.
It's a wrap-up,
amazing.
I mean, I do genuinely love it.
Okay, cool.
So that means that I'm going to jump to the good.
Cool.
But it does have a couple things which are being patched. So I was playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro, and if I entered a menu and entered out of it, it would stutter for a good like 10 seconds
Cool.
before everything
Yikes.
got
So
back
it's
to normal.
mostly technical stuff.
Yeah, maps
Okay,
wouldn't load
cool.
properly, things like that. But I think the one thing I will say is it's got some odd difficulty spikes where
Right.
things just suddenly get super hard.
Like bullet soaking.
Kind of. It's got this thing where if you do start taking damage, you go down fast.
Right.
So as long as you can maintain a sort of, you get health from enemies and things like that as well. So as long as you're maintaining that, things are very easy. But the second you lose access to that, or you just take too much damage very quickly, you die. I didn't play it for a week and a half and jumped back in, and I can't do anything anymore.
Right, okay.
I know what you mean. You
now
warm
I'm
up to the
terrible.
Yes. I actually experienced that a lot as well. I know what you're saying.
But like with like Dead Cells, you played that for a little bit and then left it, came back to it, and it was rebalanced. Do you think that rebalancing would really kind of finesse a lot of the frustrations you have?
I feel like it definitely could, because I really want to know more about the story. So the other thing it doesn't do very well is checkpointing, which I didn't notice too much until I started sucking.
Dying, and then it didn't
when
go.
you're surviving, you don't notice.
Yeah, true.
And then suddenly when you're losing to the same boss and it takes you like 5 to 10 minutes to get back to that boss.
It's frustrating.
That's really frustrating.
Yikes. Interesting.
So I don't know if it needs to be easier, but if the checkpointing was better, it would go a long way to helping that.
But if you're into third-person games, if you're interested by the sort of sound of this world, worth checking out?
Oh, 100%.
Awesome. You're hanging out with Jack, Meg, and Hope. We'll be back in a little bit. Welcome back to the show. My name is Jack, in studio with Meg and Hope. Hello.
Hi.
In the RMIT studio. And I've been playing a lot of phone games. I've been playing a lot of mobile games. Do you play many? Do you guys play many?
I
mobile
definitely
games?
do, but I don't have an Apple phone.
What do you play on your Samsung? Tell us.
The Sims.
The Sims. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Not compromised.
I play Pokemon Go a lot.
Yeah,
Right, you're still
true.
playing. Ah.
People, yeah, like some of the Z Games crew in Brisbane are still like playing a lot, and they get very aggressive when I have a go at them for
Wow.
it, which is fair.
I mean,
Right.
you're having a go at people.
They don't usually get aggressive. They're just like whatever.
I've
Don't
actually
come
just
to the
started
knife
playing the Mario Kart phone game. Actually,
Kart,
it came
yeah,
out
true.
yesterday,
Mario Kart
and it's really epic. But I really prefer it on Switch. I'm not sure what to tell
No,
you.
it's fair.
Yeah.
But Apple Arcade has just launched, shaken up the market.
Right.
It is an $8 a month in Australia, $8 a month, and you basically get access to like a crap load of games.
100 to be fair.
They didn't launch with 100.
No way.
No, they didn't launch with 100.
Cheeky.
Nah, like it's
Lies
like
and subterfuge.
you will have. Well, I mean, to be fair, in the week that they've, or like just over a week that they've been like launched, they've already launched new games as part of the program.
I see.
So
Hold
there
on.
will be more like Netflix. There will be more games coming.
What's this to be fair? Like, they say they're going to launch with 100
Thank
games,
you.
and they haven't.
Great question.
I'm also paying $8 and I have access to all of these quality games. Like, the reason why I'm defending them is because it is, even without 100 games, Hope, a really
I'm not
compelling
saying that it's
Okay.
not still a good product.
value
I have a bone to
proposition.
pick because I've already maxed out my storage on my phone as it is, and I have to delete apps to reinstall fresh ones. And I think I've got like the S Note 8, so I need to get another SD card.
Man, you
How are
can-
you finding that for yourself if you've got like 100 launch games?
Well,
And no SD
So
card.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. So like, I've got my baby iPhone SE. This
It's
is
real-
tiny.
it's
Yeah,
so
compared to
small.
like your phone,
I
right?
was
Little baby.
squinting looking at it.
It's a Rayman game. Yeah, so I have a 64 gig phone. It's actually not that bad because I stay really on top of like keeping that stuff down. Like Dragalia Lost is another game that I've been playing. That is a 6 gigabyte game.
What?
That's not part of Apple Arcade, I should clarify.
Okay.
But just like for reference, I have big boy like games
I
on my
see,
phone.
I see.
Like I've got Journeys on iPhone now. That's mental.
That's
Anyway,
so exciting.
yeah,
That's crazy.
it's-
Yeah.
I was playing it on the plane. But yeah, not all of the games are huge. There are some games that are 1 gig or 2 gig, and to be fair, these are like gorgeous looking games. If you're playing it on like an iPad, you can on like a newer iPad, you can see how gorgeous it looks. On
I
this,
get the
not as
iPad
easy.
novelty.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But on a phone, I guess, I want to ask you,
Yes.
on the percentage of what you have played, which I don't know how many that is, what is your, what percentage are great versus, is it worth the money?
See, I think that. Well, I mean, the first month is free, so I mean that's kind of hard to. But I think $8
Worth
a month.
the money.
Yeah, right. That
Well, can you see
$0.
it being valuable?
But as far as like the games that I've got so far, the variety of games is really, really compelling. So the first one that I want to bring up is Fledgling Heroes. So this is a Brisbane-developed game.
This
How
is the one with the
exciting.
birdies.
It is it's gorgeous. I love it so much. This is like a side scroller, but sort of in the vein of like a Flappy Bird kind of deal.
Cool.
So you are going through these beautifully drawn art styles. Like it looks gorgeous. The animation is actually really, really fluid. And you have these like different challenges to go through in the levels. It's also really, really upbeat. But the challenges that you have in the levels, I am not that good at it. So like I will just die sometimes or have to redo levels over and over, which is fine because it's actually good fun. But It's gorgeous.
Can I ask you, on a bit of an industry level, what do you think Apple Arcade's going to do to the industry? Is it
Oh,
going to
man.
boost it, or is it going to kill
That is
free to play? Like,
that is such
there's
a
this
is it going
big
to try and
question.
bully
Because
developers to get onto it?
There's this big thing at the moment where people are talking about compensating developers for time played.
Which is fair.
Which is terrifying.
Well, no, oh, sorry. Compensating developers, I wasn't expecting the time played. That is something that I think I believe Android is doing more than Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade's business model, I believe, is much more throw money at these projects, get development going,
Yeah.
get the game exclusive to iOS. You can simultaneously launch on other platforms. Like we've seen that with like a bunch of games releasing on consoles or PC or whatever else, right? There's one notable exception, Android. They want people to buy goddamn iPhones and iPads, and that makes them money, right? Like, I think that with Android, that is a fair question to ask. Like, are they getting paid for their work, worthwhile?
Right.
With Apple Arcade, because Apple is legitimately just funding their goddamn development, like it's similar to a publishing deal, except they still own the rights to their IP.
I see.
They can still publish on a bunch of other platforms. I think that makes it far more compelling as a developer from what I've heard.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So I want to go more into those details with some of the other New Game Plus crew as well. But yeah, I think I am very curious about going into that further.
I actually wanted to also bring to the table the Google Play Pass as well.
Yeah.
It's the opposing competitor.
Just launched the week of.
Correct. And they're spooking 350 games of whatever the hell knows what
How
they
many
are.
do they launch with?
Correct. Great question, Hope. I just wanted to get your
Thanks,
feelings on where that's going to go.
I think the difference is that Android's offering is like you might already own a bunch of these games, or you might be able to play them on other platforms. And again, if you actually value developers' time, probably don't do that.
Right.
Because I don't know exactly what the price point is, but unless it's like astronomically higher than $8
Yeah.
a month, like that's not really going to be worth it for devs.
I guess we haven't really talked about yet the fact that the Apple Arcade's games will never have microtransactions.
That makes it so much better.
It changes the landscape a lot.
Because that's the thing, like mobile games get a lot of flack, understandably so, for being filled with in-app purchases. These are not.
Correct.
And I think one of the main reasons that I don't play mobile games is because I get frustrated by things being locked behind.
Oh my gosh, the pressure. Yeah, you're
microtransactions.
right.
And like a lot of the multiplayer ones as well. Like you go alright for a little bit, and then suddenly everyone that you're playing against has clearly dumped
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars into
Even
this
just
game.
like $10 sometimes. Like it really doesn't take much money sometimes to get such a big leg up.
Yeah, and I don't have that $10.
$10, man, that's too much for me. Yeah, look, well, I mean, $2 too much. But
Wait, $8 too much? Apple Arcade subscription.
yeah, all these games are premium games as part of Apple Arcade.
Okay.
Another one that I want to jump into, did either of you play Mini Metro?
Yes.
Did you really enjoy it?
It's quite cathartic, isn't it?
It is perfect. So Mini Motorways is by the same team. It looks as beautiful and as minimal as Mini Metro.
Yep.
And I love it dearly.
Tell me
That's
about
actually
it.
It
What
is
kind of is it?
a lot more detailed than Mini Metro.
Yeah, so it's a top-down game where you have all these buildings and these houses, and people are commuting to work or commuting to events, and you need to get people to where they need to be in Tokyo, Beijing, Moscow, like a bunch of other cities. It is not as, I feel, polished yet as Mini Metro or have as many stages as Mini Metro, but that game has been out for 3 years, and I think that given how short of a time period I believe these devs had to get this game out, it looks gorgeous, it plays really good. And I mean, if you're watching, if you're experiencing this review through New Game Plus, you'll be seeing what it's running like, what it visually looks like. That's on an iPhone SE. Like, it runs as smoothly as this and looks that good on a phone that is 4 inches.
I guess
Amazing.
that's kind of what's really good about Apple Arcade is it gives developers the opportunity to sort of release something small like this where it doesn't have to be completely finished. Because if someone, say, wants more or doesn't find that there's value in it, they've got a lot of other things they can jump to
Yeah.
while you do finish it or add more and
Yeah.
things like that. So there's that pressure that's not there.
Yeah,
Live
that's true.
service is really exciting. It gives the developers
It
a chance
is.
to push out content regularly to
There are a lot
build
of
that
devs.
player base.
Yeah.
And I think something like this is a low risk investment in terms of if they've already got it on the App Store, they can port it across and work out a better deal for them.
Or rework their
Rework
game to
it.
be able to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Speaking of other games to be able to jump into, I didn't expect to be as into a roguelike pinball fantasy setting game as I was going to be in the Pinball Wizard, I believe the game is called. I forgot the name of it because it's just so gorgeous.
Sounds catchy.
It is a pinball game, first and foremost. But you are playing as, like, the ball is basically the wizard.
The graphics.
And it looks so gorgeous again. Oh, my
my
god,
God.
baby phone. But yeah, that's kind of the first look at Apple Arcade. And actually, that's pretty much it for the show. I do want to talk more about Apple Arcade versus Android.
No,
and
I
all the
really
rest of it,
appreciate
but-
that. I think you've kind of converted me a little bit. Just because I'm not an iPhone person, I was really skeptical at the value
Yeah,
it
it's
could
fair.
bring. And I guess looking at it from an industry level as well as the quality level, I think it's already sort of shifting my headspace about it.
The,
So
the
thank
quality
you.
level is a very big argument that I think a lot of people might not be thinking about because it's phone games.
I see.
But I think it'll take time to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you want to check out more Z games, you can find us in 4ZZZ in Brisbane, Wednesday night 6 till 7, around the Community Radio Network weekly, or online at zedgamesau.net, or on iTunes and Spotify, and New Game Plus.
Hey.
You know that spiel, matey?
You think I would after a couple of years now. But essentially, it's newgameplus.tv on YouTube, Instagram,
Facebook, Twitter, everything.
We're everywhere, newgameplus.tv.
So that's pretty much it for the show this week.
The
And-
omnipresent New Game Plus.
Yeah, it is everywhere. You cannot escape it. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.